Good morning. I'm News Director Jenna Clay, and joining us for today's People and Perspectives, I have two ladies with us today, Susan Resavy and Betsy McClimans. Thank you both for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
And we are talking today about Camp Dragonfly, which is put on by Hospice of Central Pennsylvania. Why don't you start off by telling us just a little bit about what Camp Dragonfly is all about?
Okay, thank you, Jenna, for having us. Camp Dragonfly is a bereavement camp for children ages 6 to 15 that has been offered in the community for the past 26 years. Traditionally, it was a weekend camp up at Camp Hebron, and we also offered it at Camp Swatara, a little further up north for our Schuylkill County folks. But the intent was to give children an opportunity to come together with other kids who had a significant loss in their family, giving them opportunity to talk about their loss, be with other kids so they realized they weren't alone, that they weren't the only one going through such a terrible time in their life, but also to teach them ways to cope in healthy ways, and to also have some fun.
What kinds of loss are we talking about? Is it just death in the family? Are there other types of losses that would make someone want to bring their kids to this?
Actually, any significant loss for a child, it is a loss by death. So we don't have kids that are coming who've had a loss due to divorce. There's many ways that kids can suffer loss, which are, very significant. But this camp is for loss by death. But it could be anyone. It could be a biological family member. It might be a neighbor. It could be a friend at school. Anyone that is significant to the child and family.
And what types of things do they do at the camp?
Well, we divide the children up into smaller age groups. So we do a younger group from the kids that are 6 to 8 or 9 years old. Then we do a middle group of kids that are 9 to 10 up to 12. And then we run a teen track, 13 to 15. And each group is led by bereavement staff from our agency, who are the facilitators of the group. And so we have sessions built in where we address different aspects of loss. So giving kids initially the opportunity to talk about the loss, their feelings associated with the loss, how has this loss changed their lives, changed their families, changed what goes on in the family and the relationships, and then how, knowing all that, how do we move forward in a healthy way? Who are the people that I, as a child, can turn to if I'm having a bad day? Who are these people at school, at home, at church, at sporting teams? So looking forward, what can I do differently? For example, it's okay to be angry when you're grieving. It's not okay to hit your sister. So what do we do with this wide range of emotion that we all experience when we lose somebody? Really acknowledging that the feelings are okay. What do we do with them? How do we express them in a healthy way? Who do we express them to? And hopefully they go home with some of those tools.
I mean, that's a hard thing as an adult to go through. So I'm sure it's tough really for a kid. What do you see? I know you've been to many of these camps. How do they change from when you first see them when they arrive to, going through all of this camp and all these emotions and learning to, properly grieve? What are they like during that time to the end? I mean, how have they changed?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see with most of the children, there definitely is some growth, even though it might be small. Most kids start out pretty guarded. I mean, kids are going to be like adults in that they're going to cope with a loss like they cope with other things in life. So if they're the kind of child that's, talkative and outgoing and can, wears their heart on their sleeve, chances are they're going to be like an open book, and we're going to hear a lot from those kids. If you are dealing with a child who's a little more guarded, or sometimes with the teens, a little more close to the vest, they're taking it all in. And you're hoping that at some point in the weekend, they're going to, participate a little bit more and talk a little bit more, and, really kind of start putting things together. I think one of the most significant things is that children in general don't want to feel different. They want to fit in, which they want to know that they're like everybody else. They don't want to be too, off the beaten path. So coming to camp gives them opportunities to see that there are other kids that look like them, that are their age, that have also lost a parent, a sibling, a friend. And I'm not the only one. So I'm really not that different. And I guess that's okay. I'm not, it's all right. And so they get a little more, at least a little more confident in knowing that, and usually start opening up to their peers. The way Camp Dragonfly was organized up to this point is they spent the whole weekend together. And so the kids that they were in their groups with are the kids that they're living with all weekend. And so they start talking among themselves, and you see the cooperation, and you see the kids opening up and learning and starting to do some things differently, even in the weekend time. So it really is good. And we're hoping, the concern is what happens when they leave, because we only get them for a few days. But we're hoping that we're planting some seeds and building some foundations for the kids.
And this year is different. In the past, like you said, you've done a full weekend. I know you had to cancel the camp in 2020 because of the pandemic. And of course, things have kind of gone over into 2021. So things are a little bit different. So tell us about that.
Yeah, it was really hard for us to cancel camp last year, but obviously we had to. So going into this year, we weren't sure what to expect, and you really have to plan ahead for these things. So we decided to offer Camp Dragonfly in a day camp format this year, which would eliminate the sleepover piece. And we also moved it to the fall. So hoping that we'd have a little more distance from the height of the pandemic. So we're offering the camp on a Saturday and Sunday in October, the weekend of October 23rd and 24th. So families can choose one day or the other. So they would come on Saturday or Sunday and spend a good 10 to 12 hours with us on any given day. So we're looking at condensing it a little bit, but yet still keeping the goals of camp the same.
And this camp is free, correct?
Yes, it is. It's free. It's open to any child in the community. Yeah, we hope people will take advantage. It's a wonderful opportunity.
And where can they go to register if they'd like to attend?
If they would like to attend, they can go to our agency website at hospiceofcentralpa.org. And there you just follow the links for bereavement programs, and it will take you to Camp Dragonfly. The applications are downloadable and they're on the website, or they can call Hospice of Central PA at 717-732-1000.
And Betsy, I want to turn to you. You are the volunteer coordinator for Camp Dragonfly, and I assume the volunteers are such a big piece of this. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So volunteers actually help run it. Without volunteers, it wouldn't be very successful. So we're definitely looking for some volunteers who have a heart for children in grief, and even may have their own experiences that they can, walk alongside these kids. So our volunteers, the types of volunteers that we're looking for are people who are willing to come in and offer support and supportive roles, where we're just kind of getting them to help us set up, helping us tear down, set up groups, parking, registration. We're looking for volunteers who are available to actually walk alongside the kids, and those are called our big buddies. And our big buddies are there as a supportive system where they can be there for the kid if they need to talk. They're there to help the kid find their way around the camp. They're available for just the needs, any needs that the kid has, making sure that they not just, and just kind of keeping an eye on the kid the whole time they will spend with one of the kids. And we pair one big buddy per kid, so each kid has their own volunteer.
That's a pretty special relationship that they bond, I'm sure.
I think the stories I've heard is just, they're beautiful, and it is a very special time also, not just for the kid, but also for the big buddy. I think it really is a very beautiful space to be in.
And I know that there's been talk of, children who have attended the camp then coming back and being a big buddy when they're older. I mean, that's a testament to what kind of support they're getting at Camp Dragonfly.
Yes.
I've actually just recently talked with somebody who came back to be a big buddy, and she told me a little bit about her story, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience for her. And she was super excited to be a part of camp and to be able to give back in the way that she received, that support. And she said she actually one year, the year she was there, had two big buddies. And it was the perfect experience for her. So I just love to hear the stories of how people are so affected by the time that they get to spend there.
So requirements, you said that you have different opportunities available for different skills, I guess, if you will, for volunteers.
Yeah, so people who are big buddies, they're going to be people who are really good at listening, really who just so
wait, we're having some technical difficulties. Hang on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Just going through that grief process, they're just very available to the needs of the kid. Where the support volunteers, they're going to be there to help with crafts. If you're a crafty person and you have a love for art, well, that's probably a really good area for you to come and participate. We have people who are there to help us set up the rooms and make sure if you're an organized person and you a good skill set for just, kind of marking off the boxes. We need people like that as well. People who can help us direct parking and sign in, or a number of different things, helping pass out snacks and sitting by the campfire at night. At the end of the night, we have a campfire, and we need those people who are a little goofy too. I'm willing to just be silly with the kids. I mean, we just have a need for all kinds of people, and there's something there for everybody, so that almost anybody can do. So,
and it is a camp, but it's obviously very emotionally heavy. Obviously you're dealing with, the loss and the grief that goes along with that. But as you mentioned, there are other activities kind of, interspersed with that, I guess, because they are kids. You need to make sure that they are not overwhelmed the entire time by this heavy burden. Is that pretty much true?
Oh, absolutely. I was thinking that as Betsy was talking, some of the activities that we have built in addition to the the supportive sessions we'll be doing some horseback riding up at Camp Hebron. We'll be doing some hiking, playing games, having the campfire at the end of the evening. And we also do a drumming circle. We bring in this wonderful group that brings all types of drums, different sizes, and bongo drums to big bass drums and maracas and all kinds of musical instruments, and really get the kids into, beating on a drum and how music, it's interesting because all of these activities are also showing kids other ways that they can cope with their grief. Sometimes playing music or banging on a drum can be really helpful. Sometimes taking a walk can be really helpful. Being close to pets and animals and how therapeutic that can be. Having fun at a campfire and being goofy is okay too. So we do just, interdisperse some of these activities so that they do have some downtime, because you're right, you can't sustain that level of intensity all day long. It's not good for anybody,
no.
Including me. We have as much fun as the kids do, let me just say.
I'll bet. I mean, that sounds like a good time. I mean, I want to do all of that.
Yes.
Now, if you're just joining us, we are talking with Susan Resavy. She's the Director of Family Services at Hospice of Central Pennsylvania, and Betsy McClimans. She's the Volunteer Coordinator for Camp Dragonfly. And Camp Dragonfly is part of Hospice of Central Pennsylvania. So we need to probably talk about the organization itself and what you guys do on a day-to-day basis.
Sure. Well, Hospice of Central PA we're a nonprofit hospice agency that provides end-of-life care to individuals dealing with a variety of illnesses where life expectancy is limited. And we are Medicare certified hospice, so we provide the full range of hospice care from nursing, home health aid services, social work, chaplain, a very large and involved volunteer program. We have providers such as our physicians and nursing practitioners that go out and see our patients. So we provide the full range of care. We also provide complementary therapies like massage and music. And we offer bereavement care, which is a very extensive bereavement program that we offer to our families and the community at large for 14 months at least after the death of a loved one. So it's an all-inclusive hospice organization. We also have Carolyn's House, which is a hospice residence that's part of our agency that many of our patients utilize, again, at the end of life. So we care for people anywhere from children up to, we have patients that are over 100 years old and everybody in between. So we're really proud of the care we provide. We're proud of our bereavement care that we provide, and Camp Dragonfly has been a really special piece of that.
Do you rely on volunteers at the actual hospice as well, or is that mostly staffed?
No, we rely heavily on volunteers, actually. We have volunteers that go into patients' homes and do anything from read to them to just offer a compassionate ear for them to talk, to help out with small household tasks, shopping. We also have volunteers who go into nursing homes and just give people the opportunity in the nursing home not to be alone in their time there. To just sit with them. We have a number of volunteers who do events. We have events like the butterfly release and the golf tournament. So we have volunteers who do that. We have volunteers who go to Carolyn's house. We have volunteers in the office even that come and help us do our jobs. So we very heavily rely on volunteers, and we're always looking for a new volunteer, and there's a lot of things that they can do here. It's not just limited to going into a patient's home. It's also, office work and pretty much anything that we can get them to do. So
the volunteers that go into patients' homes and read to them or that sort of thing, what do they tell you that experience is like for them?
Lots and lots of stories. It's a very sacred ground for some people. There's people who actually go and sit with people at the end of life, their last 11 hours. It's called 11th hour. And I have a lady who talks about saying, or she says, a volunteer who has told me, it's like just the end of somebody's life is like, there's only one time that's ever going to happen for them. And then being a part of that is a very beautiful experience. So some people are really uncomfortable with the idea of going into a patient's home until they do it. And then they come out and say, wow, that wasn't anything like I expected. So there are a lot of different stories about people's experiences, but some of them are just like to sit and listen to them. It brings tears to your eyes that people get to be in the middle of that. And, our patients, there's patients who really have a need for a listening ear that's not in the middle, like it's not family members, it's not people who that they see day to day. They just need to unburden stuff, or they need to be able to talk about experiences that they've had in their life, so they can just kind of tie stuff up in their mind, I guess, So volunteers get the opportunity to sit and listen to that kind of stuff, and it's just a really beautiful thing.
And you mentioned that some people are uncomfortable with that, but I mean, if you put yourself in their shoes, wouldn't we all want that person to be there for us when we face that time? Because we're all going to be there at some point, right? Do you have anything else you want to talk about with Hospice of Central Pennsylvania, that aspect of it?
Well, I wanted to, before we run out of time, I did want to mention one more thing about camp that I didn't mention earlier. This is a new piece that we're offering this year. We're going to be requiring a parent or guardian to attend with their child. We've always had a parent program where the parents, we would spend a few hours with the parents, educating them around children's loss and grief and how they could help their children, and how caring for themselves and their own grief impacts their kids. And we've always wanted to expand that a little bit more. So this year, given that we were doing a day camp and parents would have to be transporting their kids at 8 o'clock in the morning and coming back and getting them at 8:30 at night, we thought it might just be easier if they came and spent the day. So we're going to have the parents in a separate area of camp and spend the day with them, with several other of our staff, and talking more in depth about children's grief, what kind of things their children are learning at camp, what they can do to keep some of these things going when they go home, and also taking a more in-depth look at helping them look at their grief, and hopefully being able to support each other as adults just as the kids are doing. And then midway during the day, we're going to join the parents with their children, and we're going to do some family activities together so that we can get them working together on a couple projects around grief and loss, and hopefully getting them maybe a little more comfortable around the topic, and being able to build on that when they go home. You know, again, as parents, I think we want to protect our kids, and we're not sure how much do we let them know about how we're hurting. I'm really upset, but I don't let Johnny see me cry. There's pros and cons to all of those things. So we hope that we can help parents explore that, and then bring the families together to do some work together. And we're really excited about that, because I think that in the long run is what's going to help families.
Is that anything you've done in the past, involve the parents like that and talk to them about how to help their children grieve?
Yes, we've had a session when the kids are there all weekend. On like Sunday morning, we have the parents join us for 3 or 4 hours. And they always say, oh, I wish we had more time. So this is more time. And we're also going to build in some time for them just to rest, let them sit down, have a nice lunch, let them have some free time to take a walk through the beautiful trails at Camp Hebron. So we'll break their sessions up as well. But we're really excited about it, and being able to work with them together as a family. I think it'll be really cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, as a parent, I could see how that could be very worthwhile. Is that something, if it goes really well, to have that extended time, is that something you may look at doing more of in the future?
I think if it goes well, and I don't see any reason why it won't, we'll build that into Camp Dragonfly every year in some way, shape, or form. Yes, yes.
And when you talk to even the kids or the volunteers who have attended Camp Dragonfly, do any testimonials kind of stick out in your head as from their experience being there?
Well, I know a few parents have, usually what we do is at Christmas time following camp, we send a letter with some information about the holidays and a craft project that they can do for the holidays, remembering their loved one. And I'll get notes then sometimes. And we also survey our families after camp. And we hear things like, before we even received your craft, our kids said, we need to do something for Christmas to remember Daddy. You know, at camp, we talked about this, or they might go pull something out from camp and share it with their families. Parents are usually see some difference in their kids by the time they've gone through the camp experience, something that they've learned. I can't remember a negative comment. I think parents in general are very pleased. And we also survey the kiddos who usually their highest compliments go to their big buddies and their experiences in meeting other kids, which I think makes me feel good, because that's our main goal, is for them to not feel so different and to feel like they are not alone. And sometimes the kids now, with their own cell phones and things, they connect with each other. It's not required, but some kids will. And that's nice too, because then they have another resource.
Absolutely. I mean, kids, it's easier, I think, sometimes for them to open up to peers instead of an adult, a parent, you know, to have that, to see that, you know, this person's in the same shoes and I can open up to them because they're the same age, going through some of the same stuff. I mean, that's a pretty cool connection to make.
Yes, it is.
So tell us again when the camp is, how you can register, who registers, all that good stuff.
Okay, so Camp Dragonfly will be held, I make sure I have the right dates, will be held this year. You can attend on either Saturday, October 23rd or Sunday the 24th. It's held at Camp Hebron, which is in Halifax, PA, up over the mountain. It's a beautiful, beautiful location. Each day, the program will run 8:30 to 8:30. We will be doing a brief Zoom meeting the night before you come to camp, just for everybody to kind of meet each other and see everybody's faces. So we're going to try that this year for about an hour, not a real big investment of time. And to register either to be a volunteer or to be a camper, you can go on the HCP's website at hospiceofcentralpa.org and follow the links to the Journey program, bereavement. It'll bring you to Camp Dragonfly, and all of the applications are there for you to download and either mail back to us, fax back to us. And if you have questions, you can call myself about camper questions, or you can call Betsy regarding volunteer questions at 717-732-1000.
And is there anything else that you wanted to say about any of this that we haven't already covered? Either one of you or both of you, one at a time?
Betsy, anything?
No, I'm really excited for this year though, and I'm really looking forward to being a part of this. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be a really good program, and I hope that we get lots of new volunteers and they can join in with our old volunteers, because it's going to be, I think, a really neat experience.
And you said this is your first year, right, Betsy? I mean, that's got to be are you excited, nervous? I mean, what's the feeling here?
Super excited. Like, I love the idea of this. I just think this is such a beautiful program. So very excited. And I'm looking forward to just spending time with all the volunteers. We have some really cool volunteers.
Yeah. And I'm excited, even though I've done this for a number of years. I like the idea of the new format. You know, in this day and age, families are very busy. Kids are very busy. They're involved in maybe too many things, but very involved. And it's hard sometimes to give up a weekend to do anything because you're so busy. So we're thinking the day format may work out better for people as far as commitment and time. So if it goes over well, we may just stick to this format moving forward. We want to always be flexible and kind of change with the times and the needs of our community. And we don't want Camp Dragonfly to ever go away. So the pandemic has kind of forced us into looking at things differently. So we're hopeful and excited. And thank you for your time, because it's been nice to be able to get the word out.
I'm going to tell you, I do a lot of these interviews and talk about a lot of programs. This is one of my favorites. I just think that what you guys do is so amazing, and especially for kids, because a lot of times, like you guys have said, there isn't someone that they feel they can talk to, and this gives them a nice neutral space, a fun space where they're doing fun things, but still having this chance to express themselves and figure out how to grieve. So, I mean, kudos to you and all of your staff, all of your volunteers, because I think this is amazing. So good job.
Thank you.
So we've been talking with Susan Resavy, Director of Family Services at Hospice of Central Pennsylvania, Betsy McClimans, Volunteer Coordinator for Camp Dragonfly, which is coming up on October 23rd and 24th. And real quickly, you guys mentioned Carolyn's House when you were talking about hospice. What is that exactly?
Carolyn's House is a 6-bed residence that we own. It's a HCP part of our program, where individuals who are hospice patients can go at the end of life when they need an alternative to living at home. So sometimes, as much as we want to, the patient may want to die at home, the family wants to keep their loved ones at home. Sometimes it just isn't possible for a variety of reasons, and they're looking for an alternative. So Carolyn's House provides 24-hour care. You are still under the care of Hospice of Central PA, so you still receive all the additional services and care that we would provide people in their own home or in nursing homes. But they have on-site 24-hour care. It's a 6-bed facility, so everyone has a private room. And right now with the pandemic, some of the visitation is limited of numbers, but we do allow a certain number of family members to visit with their loved ones at Carolyn's House. And it's just a really serene environment. I mean, it's on Linglestown Road, so you think, oh, that's a busy road, but it's off the road just enough and kind of back into the trees that you kind of forget you're on Linglestown Road. So we have some really pretty outdoor areas for families to go out and rest. And I think the thing that is really wonderful, in addition to the care the patients get, is that families get to just be the family member when they have someone at Carolyn's house. They don't have to worry about what's time to give mom her meds, or I have to wake up in the middle of the night and do all the things that our families do day in and day out at home. And they're all heroes in my book. But when they come to Carolyn's house, they can just be the wife, the daughter, the son, the friend, the significant other, whatever the relationship, and you can just see some of the tension, come off of their shoulders. So given it's only 6 beds, of course, we have a limited amount of opportunities to have people there at one time, but we're very proud of Carolyn's house.
That's great. And give us your website one more time.
It's www.hospiceofcentralpa.org.
Wonderful. Susan and Betsy, thank you so much for talking with us today. Great organization. I wish you lots of luck with Camp Dragonfly this year.
Thank you.